Welcome to Straight Talk with your host, Patti Foster.
I'm Patti Foster with you again for Straight Talk with Patti, and Dr. Adams, who has so graciously given me some more of her time as we talk about hope lessons, and we touch base with different techniques for survivors and families and care partners and healthcare professionals as well dealing with brain injury. Dr. Adams' book is Christian and Faith-Based Counseling for Brain Injury, Techniques for Survivors and Families. Routledge Press put this out in 2023, not very long ago, and what a huge need for decades this has been. As we start this closing segment, Dr. Adams, would you address why do you think this brain injury topic has not been addressed by many of the Christian and faith-based avenues?
Respectfully, historically, counseling really hasn't been something that most churches support. That's changed, thankfully, but that's also, I think, what we're dealing with brain injury, and it is a specialty that not a lot of people understand, because they hear traumatic brain injury and they unfortunately assume that if they have trauma background in their counseling that they can manage brain injury, and it's a totally different ballgame. Again, as I mentioned, the therapist has to understand the physiology of the brain, what a brain injury does, and then what the mental or the emotional issues are. So one has to decipher all of those so you know what you're looking at when somebody comes to your and has a session. That's very important.
And through those sessions, just like you said in your book, you always spend your time in prayer. You and God have that intimacy. And so that you do your research and you do your studies like you've done for this book and then for the years before when this all started in 2008. And you knew, like you said, that God said, you'll do this the rest of your life. Dr. Adams, as we wrap up our time together, would you continue with that thought and talk about your prayer to God with each of these individuals in the brain injury population in the community? You say that you pray that they will be encouraged, educated, and equipped along their journey as they reach their optimum potential and purpose. Would you talk about those three?
Brings tears to my eyes, honestly, Patti, because people, in my opinion, that have gone through a brain injury are this world's best kept secret, in the sense of they have the survival skills that nobody else has. And we need to bring that out. And there's a wonderful prayer that I actually heard from your friend Moira Brown that says, Lord, may I see what they're not saying. And so my prayer in all counseling is, may I give them hope. Lord, help them, give me wisdom, help them be encouraged, help them to be educated and equipped so that they can deal with what they're dealing with. And one of the things that I offer to every brain injury survivor that I have is I will send them, if they want one, an email that recaps our conversation. And that seems to be really helpful. And in fact, Patti, you're the first to know this, but I'm writing another book, and it's all my letters that I've written that will be, I think, really helpful to survivors and their family members. It's a more personal, less technical of just how to deal with. And the thing to remember always is that God's truth is God's truth. Whether one believes it or not, it still is truth. And if He can help me comfort those as He has comforted me, then they will go forward with that. And that's part of the equipping, is knowing that, you know what, I can comfort somebody else. I can share my story and help somebody else. And to me, that's paying it forward, but actually that's called redemption.
That's rich and powerful and deep. Amen. Words to live by, definitely. Well, Dr. Adams, I so appreciate your time, and I know the listeners are so connecting and replaying much of what you said, writing down notes, thoughts, personal situations that so connect with what you said. If they would like to get a copy of your book, how do they go about this?
They can go to Taylor and Francis and then put the title of the book. It's taylorandfrancis.com, or Routledge. It's ROUTLEDGE gmail.com and put the title of the book. You can get it there. Amazon, you can get it. So, or if you want to, you're welcome to contact me and I can send you a link.
Okay, great. So Routledge.com or Amazon, and again, Routledge is ROUTLEDGE.com, Amazon, or your email address again is Dr. Deana Adams at gmail.com. DRDEANAADAMS. So, Dr. Adams, as we wrap up, if someone would like to have you come and speak with their group, or a medical school to come and speak with their second-year students or fourth-year students, or an individual or a group or a church group or an organization would like to have you to come and speak with them about brain injury and caregivers or healthcare professionals, what is the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Please email me. I would love to do that. I would arrange my schedule so that I could for y'all, because it's so important for as many people to understand how to work with brain injury as possible. Dr. Deana Adams at gmail.com. And Patti, I might even ask if you'll come with me sometimes.
I would love that.
Awesome. You're an absolute delight, and you're the inspiration for why I do what I do. God has used you and so many other survivors for us normal, not brain injured people to come alongside you, and I can't experience or even express how much of an honor that is to me.
Thank you. That's a privilege of mine too. Thank you. How all of us in this population, as you said, or this community, because this community brings hope, how much we need each other. So, Dr. Adams, as we wrap up our segments together over this time, so many different things that we've addressed and talked about, are there any closing comments that you would especially like to pass along to our listeners today?
You are always whole, and you are never alone. God is always there, and hope is eternal in the sense of there is a brightness to every day. Just look for it.
That's so powerful. You are always whole, and you are never alone, and God is always there. So thank you that you remind us that God is always with us.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Patti.
Thank you. Well, thank you, listeners, for joining us and joining Dr. Adams with me in our time together on Straight Talk with Patti, collaborated with Hope After Brain Injury, as we open the door to this hope lesson based on her book by Routledge Press, Christian and Faith-Based Counseling for Brain Injury, Techniques for Survivors and Families. I'm Patti Foster, thanking you for joining me.
Thanks for listening to Straight Talk with your host, Patti Foster. Patti is a motivational speaker, writer, musician, and has an amazing testimony of God's faithfulness. For more information, log on to www.pattifoster.com.